Okay, you saw the thumbnail with the 3 questions. Is the middle class in the Philippines growing? Is the lower class shrinking? And are the rich getting richer? I did some digging, plus I'll tell you what I've observed, not just with my own eyes, but also from the many YouTube videos that I've seen. I'm excited to get into this one. I'm Mike, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so let's start with the middle class. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority and the Asian Development Bank, the middle class has been slowly expanding over the past 2 decades, especially in urban areas like Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao. The growth is tied to sectors like business process outsourcing, BPOs, remittances from overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, and a rise in local entrepreneurship. However, middle class here does not mean the same thing as it does in the US or Europe. In the Philippines, a family earning around 20,000 to 120,000 pesos per month could be considered middle class, depending on location and cost of living. You can see middle class growth in everyday life, more families in shopping malls, more new cars on the road, and more people traveling locally and abroad. Internet access, smartphones, private schooling have become more common, and home ownership in certain regions have climbed. But let's be real, there's a catch. Inflation eats into purchasing power, and high costs for education, healthcare, and housing make it hard for families to stay in the middle class long term. A single medical emergency or job loss can push them into financial struggle. The pandemic showed how travel this stability can be. So is the middle class growing? Yes, but slowly and unevenly. Urban centers are seeing the most growth, while many rural areas lag behind. If the economy continues to diversify and wages improve, the middle class could become a stronger driving force in the country's development over the next decade. What do you think? Are we truly seeing a stronger middle class in the Philippines? Or is it just a temporary bubble? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read your thoughts. Okay, now let's look at lower class and the people living in poverty. Is poverty in the Philippines really going down, or is that just something that we like to believe? In this part of the video, I'm looking at whether the lower class is actually shrinking and what that really means for everyday Filipinos. We're going to look at some numbers. When we say lower class in the Philippines, we're usually talking about families who struggle to meet basic needs: food, shelter, education, and healthcare. The Philippine Statistics Authority defines poverty as earning less than 13,000 pesos a month for a family of 5, though the exact figures change based on inflation and location. With today's current exchange rate, 13,000 pesos is about $228. Imagine a family of 5 in the US trying to live on $228 a month. So there is some good news. Over the last decade, official statistics show that poverty rates have been actually declining. In 2015, 23% of Filipinos lived below the national poverty line. By 2018, that number was down to 16%, and pre-pandemic projections are even more optimistic. But COVID-19 set things back. Lockdowns, job losses pushed many households back into poverty, especially those relying on informal jobs and or small businesses. The latest numbers show recovery, but it's uneven. Urban areas are bouncing back faster than rural communities. There are some other positive signs. Growth in the BPO industry is providing higher paying jobs. OFW remittances continue to lift entire families out of poverty. Government cash assistance programs, while imperfect, have helped families get through tough times. Better access to education and vocational training is slowly improving job prospects. Still, the road out of poverty is fragile. Inflation, especially in food and fuel prices, can wipe out gains overnight. Natural disasters like typhoons regularly hit vulnerable communities, forcing them to start over. And a lack of stable, formal employment keeps many Filipinos stuck in a cycle of poverty. So is the lower class shrinking? Yes, but slowly and with setbacks. Progress is real, but it's not yet permanent. Without stronger job creation, affordable housing, and better healthcare, millions could slip back into poverty. What's your take? Is the Philippines truly winning the fight against poverty, or are we just treading water? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So now let's take a look at the rich. They say that the rich keep getting richer, but is that true in the Philippines? Well, let's break down the numbers, the trends, and the reality of wealth in this country. Let's start with definitions. In the Philippines, being rich doesn't just mean living comfortably. It means that you have assets and income far above the middle class. For example, earning over 200,000 pesos a month or owning multiple properties and businesses that could put you into this category. But here's the kicker. The ultra-rich, the billionaires, and I mean billionaires in pesos, and major business tycoons hold a massive share in the country's wealth. According to Forbes and the data from the World Bank, the Philippines consistently ranks among countries with high wealth inequality. The top 1% controls a significant portion of the nation's assets, and in fact, just a handful of families dominate key industries: retail, real estate, banking, and utilities. Over the past decade, the net worth of these ultra-rich individuals has generally increased, especially during periods of economic growth. But even during the pandemic, while many Filipinos lost jobs, certain businesses like logistics, e-commerce, and food manufacturing saw their profits soar. There are a few reasons for this. Diversified investment. Wealthy families own businesses in multiple sectors, spreading risk. Access to capital. They can invest in opportunities long before they're available to the general public. Generational wealth. Assets and influence are passed down, keeping fortunes in the family. This wealth concentration can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, big business investments create jobs and infrastructure. On the other hand, it can stifle competition and widen the gap between rich and poor if smaller entrepreneurs can't compete. So a couple of final thoughts that I have. I think the evidence is all around us. When I first visited the Philippines back in 2005, the only vehicles that I saw on the road were jeepneys, tricycles, and taxis. Fast forward to today, and I'll zoom out and look at the big picture. Today, you see tons of late model cars out on the road, and most of them are owned by the middle class. There's an old saying that a rising tide raises all boats. The rich have always had money to spend. Today, the middle class has expanded in size, plus, generally speaking, has more money to spend. With a growing economy and more job creation that accrues to the poor, lifting families out of poverty, the Philippines is a country trending in the right direction. Well, that's going to wrap up this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and click or tap the bell notification. Then you'll be able to catch future videos. God bless and peace out.